We start with the coronavirus situation in Japan. The third state of emergency has taken effect in Tokyo and 3 western prefectures. It remains to be seen whether 17 days of restrictions will be enough to curb the spread of the virus. Bars and restaurants that serve alcohol or offer karaoke are being asked to close, along with shopping malls and other large facilities. This department store in Tokyo is shut, apart from floors selling food and other daily necessities.
The upcoming week-long holidays are crucial for our sales. It was an extremely difficult decision to close most of the store.
Some parts of Tokyo remain busy with people going shopping or sightseeing.
There are still so many people. They aren't taking the state of emergency seriously anymore.
Tokyo reported over 635 new infections on Sunday. Osaka Prefecture continues to be the largest hotspot in Japan. Officials reported 1,050 new cases on Sunday, topping 1,000 for the 6th day in a row. The 180 shops in this underground arcade were closed when the state of emergency took effect. In the ancient capital of Kyoto, temples and shrines have shortened their opening hours.
I hope life will get back to normal soon so people can have peace of mind. I will keep praying and working hard until then.
The minister in charge of the coronavirus response wants people to avoid non-essential outings.
I am sorry to cause people so much inconvenience, but please remind yourself how things were a year ago when the first state of emergency was in place. I must ask you to curb outings more drastically this time.
The government is also taking steps to accelerate the vaccination program. It plans to set up large vaccination centers in Tokyo and Osaka next month. Doctors and nurses from the self-defense forces will be deployed to help vaccinate up to 10,000 people per day. Pakistan is offering medical assistance to neighboring India, which is struggling to deal with a surge in coronavirus infections. The help comes despite a decades-long conflict between the two rivals over the Kashmir region. Pakistan's foreign ministry said in a statement on Saturday that it plans to provide India with ventilators, personal protective equipment, and other items. Pakistani Prime Minister Imran Khan said in a Twitter post that he wants to express solidarity with the people of India as they battle this dangerous wave of COVID-19. On Sunday, India reported more than 349,000 new cases and 2,767 deaths. Both are single-day records. Experts partly attribute the spike in case counts to a virus variant with at least 2 mutations. These are believed to increase the ability of the virus to infect people and evade the immune system. A U.S. think tank says about 1/3 of Asian Americans worry they could become victims of hate crimes. This follows a series of violent and discriminatory incidents, mainly in New York and California, where many people of Asian descent live. In New York on Friday, a 61-year-old man of Chinese descent was pulled to the ground and his face was repeatedly trampled. His attacker had approached him from behind. The victim was severely injured. The Pew Research Center carried out the survey of 352 Asian Americans aged 21 or older. 81% of the respondents feel violence against Asians has increased since the pandemic began. 32% say they are afraid of being intimidated or physically attacked. The think tank cited several respondents as saying the discrimination and violence was fueled by former President Donald Trump, who repeatedly blamed China for the pandemic. With the auto industry moving rapidly to embrace electric vehicles, a major shakeup is expected in the way cars are produced. An Israeli startup has been attracting worldwide attention for its innovative approach to manufacturing. NHK World Soga Taichi has more.
This is what the future of electric vehicles looks like. It's an EV platform produced by REE Automotive, an Israeli startup founded in 2011. The batteries are fitted into the chassis itself. Each of the wheels is a self-contained modular unit with its own motor and brake. Depending on the size of the chassis required, this basic platform can be used for producing cars, buses, and trucks.
We can build vehicles in any kind, any shape, and any weight, any dimension we want.
Up to now, the auto industry has followed a traditional business model. Automakers design their cars and affiliated subcontractors then make the parts based on those blueprints. But to build electric vehicles, a company can simply select and assemble various existing modules produced by outside makers.
We understand that the important part is that those platforms will be modular, meaning you could be able to change them as you need.
In March, we entered an agreement to be listed on the US Nasdaq stock market with an estimated value of over $3 billion. Investors are watching the company closely. Japanese companies are also keeping an eye on REE's moves. Musashi Seimitsu Industry is a producer of auto parts. It mainly makes engine components for Honda. It is alarmed by the industry's shift to electric vehicles.
We mainly make parts for internal combustion engines. I don't know if companies like us will still exist in another 10 years.
In 2018, the company decided to invest in REE. As a partner, it is now produces gearboxes for REE's modular system.
We can supply gearboxes with high durability and precision, which they can't produce themselves.
As the shift to electric vehicles gathers speed, new players are emerging. Companies will need to adapt fast if they are to survive the fierce competition in this new era. Soga Taichi, NHK World.
Japan's meteorological agency has modified its view of the volcanic eruption at Sakurajima in southwestern Japan. It now says that what initially appeared to be pyroclastic flows were actually just volcanic fumes. Following the eruption on Sunday morning, the agency initially said it confirmed that a mixture of lava, volcanic ash, and gas, known as a pyroclastic flow, had traveled a distance of 1.8 kilometers from the crater. However, they later said an on-site inspection did not find any high-temperature areas that are typical after a pyroclastic flow. There were also no traces of trees that had been knocked down. Officials had previously expanded the alert zone from the Minami Dake crater to 2.4 kilometers, but they decided to return it to the pre-eruption radius of 2 kilometers.
International efforts are underway to help India as the country suffers critical oxygen shortages amid record daily coronavirus infections. Britain is sending ventilators and oxygen concentrator devices. The US, Saudi Arabia and Singapore are also providing assistance. Indonesia says a Navy submarine that went missing days ago has been found on the seabed, with all 53 crew confirmed dead. The military said they located the sub more than 800 metres deep early on Sunday. More than 80 people are now known to have been killed by a fire at an Iraqi hospital where coronavirus patients were being treated. The fire tore through an intensive care ward. Thousands have gathered to remember the 106th anniversary of the First World War landing of Anzac troops at Gallipoli. The ceremony was held in Canberra, where it had been suspended last year due to the coronavirus pandemic.